guys who are on Instagram, I'm going to be focusing on YouTube. So I encourage you, go over to YouTube, search Seth Kniep or Just One Dime. I'm live right now, and let's do it. Emily, we are live already. How's it going?
Hey guys. Hey Seth. How are you?
Good. Good to see you. We just got out of our staff meeting, and we are ready to rock the house.
All right.
Let's do it. Okay. So everybody, Emily and I talked, and we decided it would be really cool just to go straight to your questions because there are so many questions you guys asked that were so good last week. We want to make sure you get all your questions answered. So that's exactly what we're going to do is we're just going to focus 100% on your questions, and we'll answer as many as we can. And again, for those of you guys who are, hello, good to see you guys. For those of you guys watching on Instagram, you can listen along. But if you go to YouTube, I promise you're going to get better quality of everything. So, and those are the questions that we're focusing on. We do this every Wednesday. All right. Okay, here we go, guys. So let's begin. Emily, I'm just going to scroll down. I'm just going to start popping these questions out like popcorn. Guys, one thing I want to mention to you really quick right before we start. One of the things we say constantly is we're all about keeping it real. It's a play off of my last name. What I mean by that is we don't try to rosy things up or flavor them at an unrealistic level. At the same time, we give people a lot of hope and encouragement and inspiration in order to learn how to build businesses online and build passive income. So a ton of what we say is a mixture of tactical, something you can do today to make more money, but it's also to help you move. If you're discouraged, if you're feeling lazy, if you're feeling just, inclined to not do anything, my goal is that when you watch these, it changes what you do. It changes what you do. It actually impacts how you live your life. And so that's what we're here for, is to help you do that. But we're also going to give you guys a ton of tips when it comes to tactical information. How do I make this happen? All right, great to see you guys. And here we go. Okay, Emily, I'm going to start with the first question. Is it possible? Let me make sure I got it. Okay, Jose, what's up, Jose? Is it possible to start Amazon FBA with just the $40 a month professional subscription and maybe start selling just one product that we researched before choosing and growing from there? Emily, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you can start very small. Obviously, Seth's story is about starting with a dime and being creative about how you handle your budget. So he's talked a lot about selling stuff you have in excess, or getting another job, whatever it is, to manage and build the cash flow that you need to get started. I don't think that you can do much without, let's say $500, I think would be a fair budget, up to $3,000. And keeping in mind that what product you choose will affect your cash flow significantly. If you have limited funds, the thing I would recommend the most is something small and lightweight that you could airship if you need to, so that you can control inventory really well. And that would be a really smart way to start, instead of something bulky or heavy, or something that would cost a lot to get started. So
excellent. I love that answer. I'm going straight to the next one. Mohammed Umar Zia, how are you? I have a question regarding number one, sourcing. When do I request for customization, before or after the quote? And Emily, I know you have experience in this. I'm going to let you answer this one first, then I'll ask the next question.
Yeah, so you can handle it different ways. I don't like to talk about customization until I know the supplier a little bit better. Are they friendly? Are they responsive? Just as an example, I reached out to somebody yesterday for a very custom product that I wanted, and I wanted to ask them really upfront, are you going to share my design with anybody else? Because if you are, and I'm going to have it checked, I don't want to work with you. I want to have a good, trustworthy relationship. And based on what they said, it wasn't a cookie cutter answer. It was reassuring to me that they, in fact, would not do that. That's when I share custom information and get actual quotes based on material and design and all of that. So you can go about it however you feel most comfortable, but I like to keep things close to the vest until I have an actual relationship.
It's really good. And additionally, you can ask them this: do you sell on Amazon? Are you a trading company? I'm going to find out one way or another. So I'm just going to ask you now, are you? Just tell them. I will find out. I'll send an inspector. We'll do a whole factory inspection. But I just would rather you be upfront and honest now, so I can see what this is going to be like. Most of the time, suppliers will be honest with you when you're direct like that. Don't be afraid to ask those questions up front. Okay, second question from Muhammad Umar Zia. When should we do branding? Should it be after manufacturing or during your manufacturing process? So I'm gonna answer this question. Branding should begin from day one. In other words, branding starts up here. one of the most powerful ways to understand how to build a brand is you buy your competitors' products when you're in the research stage. And as you open the product, something I did just this morning, and we're noticing a brown box. It's really simple. It's a brown box. There's nothing fancy. And then they had this little witty statement on it. It was kind of witty. But then when you opened it and read some of the papers that went with it, they were trying to make a product a romance type of scenario. But I turned to Alan as we're opening the box. I said, Alan, have you ever sent your wife one of these products? He's like, no. And I said, even in your most romantic moments? And he's like, no. I was like, why are they making this romantic? It's like they're trying to give it a theme. The next one we opened up was trying to make it a gift. And again, we had the same question. Why is this product why is it being positioned as a gift? If it's during Christmas time, sure, I get it. But it really didn't make sense. The third one, however, focused on education because it's a very educational creativity type product. So it focused on education in a creative environment. That was excellent. That was the first one that was branded well. It gave us ideas. So my point is, your branding starts with product research. The reason you're studying products, guys, is not to find the product to sell. You're studying products to understand your customer so you know what product to build that they will buy. A lot of people, they shortcut it and they're just thinking about what do they want? Let me build what they want so I can make money. But you need to ask this question, who is my customer? What is the market? So branding starts in your mind as soon as you start researching. You should already be getting ideas of how you're going to brand your product. And you guys remember, branding isn't just adding on a logo. It's, look at branding this way. Every time there is a touch point between you and your customer, somehow, one way or another, through an email, through a transaction, through a social media post, through a question or an answer given, they are having a touch point with your company. Every single one needs to be a consistent, better than expected experience where you are over delivering. And when you build a brand that way, people will be knocking at your door someday saying, may I buy your company for millions? So branding starts with day one. You're going to develop it as you are in the whole manufacturing process, and you're always going to be tweaking and optimizing it. We're never satisfied with our brands. It's a healthy discontent. Certain things we should be discontent about because they drive us to act more, to do better. All right, next question. Does 1688.com work just inside China or do they export? Yes, they export. Literally this morning I met with a sourcing agent who presented up to 10, I think it was 8 to 10 products that we are considering sourcing. And she showed us all of them that we're looking at. She speaks Chinese. She lives in China, so it was very easy for her. And so, yes, they will export. 1688 was primarily built for within China, and it's a wholesaler, or not a wholesaler, a manufacturing, let me go back. It is a manufacturing business networking platform for buyers within China. That is its primary reason. But if you guys have been following 1688 for any time at all, even in the last 2 years, you'll notice that the prices have gone up and the pictures have gotten prettier and they have more professional videos. And it's funny, some of them will say made in the USA. You're in China. I'm like, what? What's going on? What's happening is they're becoming aware and realizing they have an opportunity to make money in a similar way that Alibaba does. So what the word's getting out. People are using it more and more. The prices on there, as a general rule, in my experience, are still much lower than they are in Alibaba. And if you can get a sourcing agent who speaks great Chinese, you can get a much better deal and a better negotiation because they're not thinking sell to Europeans or people in the West. They're thinking sell to people in my own country, which means they're going to sell it for less. So if you can get in on that, that's a huge opportunity. The percentage of them selling on Amazon is much, much lower, but you will deal with a lot of trading companies with 1688. The next question Badi asks is it safe to buy there? Yes, it is safe. It's only in Chinese language. That's true. You can use Google Translate on your Chrome, but it's only going to translate about 70% of it, and that's going to be messed up. Like, for example, this morning we were looking at it, and it said MOQ. It was supposed to be minimum order quantity, and they translated the Chinese word to months. So it was like 100 months, 4 months, 500 months. We're like, what's going on? So I asked my sourcing agent. She went back to the Chinese version and explained. And then the last question, should I look for a middleman or is it better to order on Alibaba, even more expensive? Emily, what are your thoughts on middlemen? Do you have any thoughts on that? Trading companies versus manufacturers? I know there's both pros and cons. What do you prefer?
I prefer to do whatever I can off of Alibaba because there's so many people, even if you're first to market, who will come in, even the manufacturer themselves. Right. So if there's any possible way for you to keep competitive advantage with sourcing through somebody or finding a factory or manufacturer who's not on Alibaba, that would always be my preference.
Yeah.
However, the product that I have now, I did find on Alibaba, but they're very buried, and they're buried for my specs. Like my specs are not listed on their listing at all.
Yeah.
So I said at Ecom 2019, I kind of said my specs are in the back room, and what they're showcasing is not my stuff. So it would be just one more step someone would have to take. So whatever you can do to, sorry, go ahead.
I just want, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Emily. Did you guys notice what Emily just said? Could you guys hear that? She said her supplier is buried in Alibaba. Think about that for a minute. How was that journey finding that supplier? Emily, talk a little bit about that.
Super long. And I paid and received so many samples from people who said, oh yeah, we totally do that. And let us meet your specs and everything. And I would get the sample and it would look weird and smell bad and, you know, on and on. And I was getting so frustrated. It probably took, I'm going to say, at least 3 months to find the person that I found, or the manufacturer factory that I found.
Yeah.
But I knew it was out there because people were talking about it in the general marketplace.
But you couldn't find who it was.
I couldn't find who it was, and I knew that I just had to keep pushing till I found them. But that was
how many hijackers are in your listing today?
0. I've never had anyone.
Did you guys hear that? Now just take a moment, you guys. We talk about this a lot, and I know many people struggle with hijackers. Sometimes I do as well. Emily does not have hijackers, and one of the reasons is because the supplier is very hard to find. Therefore, it's really hard for someone else to duplicate what she's doing. And if she did, it'd probably be pretty easy to show to Amazon, look, this is not the original product. This is a counterfeit. That is a beautiful thing, you guys. Think about it. The cost is it took Emily, you said 3 months to find a supplier?
Yep.
3 months trying to find the right supplier. So for those of you guys who are at like 2 months and 30 days, don't give up. You might be like that guy, he's digging the tunnel and there's just like 1 more inch of dirt and the gold's on the other side. Don't give up. Keep going. It took Emily 3 months, but now she's rewarded with the fact that she doesn't have to deal with the frustration of a freaking hijacker, which is huge, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, we had somebody in the Facebook group yesterday say kind of how pushy, or she didn't use that word, but it was like how specific and how kind of pushy can I be requiring my specs?
Yeah.
And I said, as pushy as you need to be, as demanding as you need to be. Do you think when Nike, yeah, exactly. And even though we're not the size of a Nike or someone, we should be ordering just like they would order. Yep. They're not going to settle for anything less than A, B, and C like they requested. Yeah. And we shouldn't either. We should act the same as Nike and come in with the same oomph and requirements, as far as I'm concerned.
Totally agreed. And guys, you'll get to a point sometimes where you really like a supplier, they're working out great, and then all of a sudden they do something that really causes you to question their integrity, and it's so discouraging to have to go start over again. This is why I always recommend start by looking for up to 20 suppliers if you can, and then narrow it down. It'll decrease the chance of that happening when you have to start over again. It takes another month to 3 months to find the next one. If you start with more and ask filter questions, like ask the questions that are obvious, yes or no. Here's an obvious one, guys. You contact a supplier the first time, you're going to say, can you build this way? You already have your differentiation plan. You're not going to your supplier to ask them what you should sell. Never do that. I made this mistake in the early days. I actually called up to 900 suppliers in the early days of e-commerce. Just ask them, hey, I'll call several every day. Hey, what should I sell? Hey, what's selling well? And that actually led me down a path that I learned a lot, but it was not the most efficient way because they're not always going to know the market. And sometimes they might want to sell you something that is dead inventory and they like to turn that into cash. So you need to already know what you're going to sell. You've done your research. You know your differentiation plan. Your supplier has one job. That is to build the product exactly the way you want. So you need to find out, number one question, can you build it this way? And you got to be specific. Don't say green. Give them the Pantone color. Don't say, I need a medium size. Give them the actual dimensions and preferably use the metric system because only Americans and a few crazy people in the world still use the other system, the imperial system. Give them specifics. Tell them exactly what you want so that it's easy for them to say, yes, I can, or no, I can't. And then you know if you need to move on. You don't want to spend all this time being generic. Oh, can you make these? Can you make this? Can you make this? Well, they're going to say yes, yes, yes. In Chinese culture, they're taught to say yes. You need to ask questions that are really difficult for them to say yes to. That way you can quickly filter out the ones who don't qualify and figure out who are the ones that do qualify and they will actually be a great supplier. Guys, look at your supplier as a business relationship. I know it's not as legal as a business partnership, but it is like a partnership. I mean, you are dependent on them to build your product. So look at it like a partnership. You're going to have to really go deep with them. So you need to vet them like crazy. I mean, it's like when you marry someone, you need to know who you're marrying before you make that decision. You're going to be spending possibly hundreds, even maybe thousands of hours over the years with this supplier. Make sure there's someone that you're happy to do business with for a long period of time.
Yeah, and also feel free and actually use it as a strategy to look outside of China, because I found a bunch of products that are electronic, for example, and everybody's literally ordering the same version of the product from China. And so I asked myself, is there anyone that can do electronics better? Is there anyone that can do textiles better? You know, and on and on. And now I'm looking at 5 countries, not just one.
Right.
So don't feel like you have to lock into Alibaba or the country of China. There's other options too.
That's really good. Next question, Rowan. Emily, I'll ask you this one. Competitors are offering a money-back guarantee. Shall I do the same? What do you think, Emily?
You can. I don't know how much weight it holds because Amazon will do that for you. I do think it could be competitive if it's a warranty and if it's something that can differentiate you. But at least for as a shopper on Amazon myself, I kind of see it as a little bit gimmicky because I can do that anyway if I'm not satisfied. So it's kind of up to you. I don't think it adds a lot, but it wouldn't hurt because most people don't take advantage of that, even if they're not satisfied. So
good, excellent. All right, we're gonna keep going, guys. Let me scroll down to the next question. Kalmir from Greece. What's up, Kalmir? Good to see you, Dracos. All right, good to see you, Jessica, Rai, Drew. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Great afternoon. Hope everyone's having an awesome afternoon. What's up, Felix? Good to see you, man. How long does it take Seth to go up the live session? I'm live right now. Happy birthday to you. I couldn't sing that to you unless you asked me that, Tony Ramos. Happy birthday to you. I know it may not be your birthday, but I just want to prove that I'm live right now. I promise. All right. How's your bronchitis? It's way better. I'm still coughing every now and then. I'm muting this. Sorry, guys. I'm not muting this one, but it does affect me. But I'm getting better. Okay. Here's the next question, Emily. Jessica says, prior to doing product research, what are the first steps? Business name, LLC, licensing, bank account. Can you walk us through the first steps? Yes, both Emily and I can do that. Before we do that, I'm going to say one thing. You need to be focusing on one thing first, Jessica, and that is, how are you going to feed your company? If you try to get everything set up perfectly before you move to cash, a lot of people give up and fail. My ignorance actually helped me to take this path, and I'm thankful I did. I moved to cash as quickly as I could. Now, not so quickly that I would launch a product that had no hope. I started by reselling stuff, much lower risk. I bought 3 of them. If they don't sell, it's not going to break my bank. So I started reselling and buying and reselling, and then I started finding stuff on DHgate, and it didn't differentiate because I didn't know any better. So again, my point is, you don't have to have everything set up perfectly before you start. I think this is one of the fallacies of a lot of sellers go through. They think, oh my goodness, I have to this and this and this. Why not build it as you go? So in other words, start doing your product research now, and as you go, continue. So for example, now I'll get super tactical. You don't have to start an LLC. You can start with a sole proprietorship. It costs almost nothing in most states. All you need to do is give your social security number to Amazon, and you just start. And you will be taxed for your personal income. Simple as that. Your liability at the beginning is extremely low. So the value of having an LLC at the beginning is very low. Now, if you do have the funds to do that now, then do it. But just don't let your startup plan get in the way of moving forward with your business. I recommend you build it as you go. Now, one more thought, and then Emily, you can jump in. I'm sure you have some thoughts on this too. When you start your business, don't ever start with like, okay, here's all the money I need for every possible category, and then I start. The reason I say that is, again, it will delay you. It's better to have a business that starts generating income now, and then you will end up moving so much faster than people who have the perfect plan, and then finally they pull the trigger and decide, I'm going to start product research. See what I mean? In other words, when I started, I was a sole proprietorship for a while. Then I upgraded my Seller Central account to an LLC. For a long time, I had no insurance. Then I got insurance. For a long time, I didn't know what differentiation was, but I still made money because I found a way through the hustle, and then later got better and better and better. And the new products we launch have a lower and lower and lower failure rate and a higher success rate because of that knowledge. Emily, what would you add to this? Anything at all?
yeah, I would just say be careful of your mindset, because most people, if they were starting a company off of Amazon, or let me rephrase that, if they were inventing a product, they wouldn't start a company before they had a product idea, because why would you? You don't know if it's going to go anywhere, if you're going to come up with anything.
Yeah.
And I think there's this fallacy or this mindset of like, start everything first and then see what I can come up with. Whereas what Seth and I are saying is see what you can come up with and take action and be moving through that process. And if you are quick to cash flow, you could even pay people to form the LLC for you or do whatever you want. You can expedite that very, very quickly. But don't get hung up on your trademark, your business name. All that stuff can fall into place once you're real, if you will. And the sentence that I've heard repeated through business school and through just kind of professionals is like, you're real when you have your first customer. So focus on that, and then put all the rest into place.
I really love how you position it, Emily. And please know, Jessica, we're not against planning. I think it's great you're asking these questions, okay? So know that. But I love how Emily put it. Your business is there to serve your customer. So the first question is, who is my customer? What am I going to do for them? That's how you make money. Then when you have money, all these other things become so much easier. You either hire someone to do it for you, or you have the money to pay what you need just to get it set up, or you want to go through the experience. Either way, that's fine. But everyone, let me challenge you, move to cash. You know, if you need to go start driving for Uber or Lyft on the side, if you need to start selling everything in your house you don't need, whatever you need to do, you need cash. Otherwise, it's like having a child. The child's not going to live long unless that child has milk. You've got to feed your business like it's your own little baby, because right now it's not self-sufficient. But once it gets to that point, then you have a lot more freedom of what you can do with that. Okay, next question or fan, Emily, I'll give this one to you. He says, how can I do differentiation on a product when all of my top competitors have 4.5 to 5-star reviews? What do you think about that, Emily?
I don't think differentiation is driven by reviews or by stars. So the real question is, can you differentiate well enough to pull business from the competitors? And that means you need a knockout plan for your differentiation, and it needs to be communicable through your main photo and your title. If it's better quality, or it performs better, or the battery life is longer, or other claims that you make, I've found my competitors make the claims whether they're substantiated or not. And that makes it really hard. And so mine is better quality. It's hard to convey that. So don't let stars or reviews necessarily determine anything for you. Just have a strong differentiation plan. And then you can be, you know, the top competitor. They can be worried about you if you come up with a good idea.
Yeah, I love that, because if your only way to get sales, or your main way to get sales, is you have higher star reviews, well, what's to keep someone else from getting better reviews? You know, and at some point, then you're behind, and now you can't control it. You can't control reviews. You can influence them, can't control them. You can control what Emily said, differentiation. So the point of differentiation should be something other than reviews. You know, a simple way to put it, let's just imagine there's 2 mugs, okay? One here, one here. And this one has 5-star reviews. And this one has 4.5. They're exactly the same. Well, of course I'll buy this one, because my only point of differentiation is reviews. But let's say this is your new one and this is the old one. It's already got 5 stars, Fran, okay? It's going, it's selling, and you're like, man, what do I do? If your cup is so different and so much better than this one, that it's fixing something better than they are, I guarantee you people are gonna look at that and go, oh, well, it doesn't matter this one has no reviews. It's different. I'm buying it because of what it does. See, they're giving you a chance. And then when you blow their mind with an amazing product, they leave you reviews anyways. All right, let's go to the next question. Hello, Instagram. We did not forget about you guys, but we're just focusing here on YouTube. But I hope you guys are getting a lot of benefit from the questions and answers. We do this every Wednesday. So again, if you just joined, if you want to hop over to YouTube, this is what we're focusing on, or you can keep watching here either way. So, and there's a carrot for you guys. This leftover carrot. Let's do it. Okay. All right. Here we go. Hi, Seth. If my product is really differentiated or better, is that enough to get on the first page without PPC ads? If yes, how long until the first page? Most likely no. Now, by accident, through ignorance, back years ago, I had products that got on the first page that I never ran PPC on. In fact, for a long time, I didn't even touch PPC. So I'm like a terrible example of how to launch if you look at my early days. But that's what drove me to learn, because I still found a way to make money regardless, because I just kept hustling. So yes, you need PPC to get it on the first page in almost every scenario. Look at it this way. Why would Amazon push this product to the first page? unless it has sales. But how are you going to get those sales unless people see it? So you're like in this circle. Is it the chicken or the egg? Which one do I do first? You run PPC so it actually shows up artificially under a sponsored ad, and everyone can see how awesome it is, and people start to buy it. And the more they buy it, the better it ranks for the keywords that they're searching. The more your listing starts to show up, not on page 7, but 6, but 5, but 4, and eventually at the top of page 1, because you started with PPC. So yes, can that happen? Sure. By accident, you have a super unique product. No one else is selling it. People start buying it. Yeah. But in most cases, it's not going to get there without some kind of promotion. And the safest way to do that, safer than a giveaway, is you run PPC. And the cool thing is this, even though at first your PPC will not be profitable, at least you're getting money back. When you do a giveaway, you're losing the product practically for whatever discount you're doing. But with PPC, okay, so yeah, you spent $15 and they paid $12 for it. But at least you only ended up spending $3 now, not actually 15. See what I mean? If I delete a listing, what will happen to my inventory in Amazon's warehouse? Can I tag it to another list? So you have to do what's called a removal order, or you can have Amazon in a lot of product categories, they will liquidate it for you and just take care of that for you so it's off your hands. So you can't just leave it there. At some point, Amazon's going to do something for it. And if it stays there, you will have massive storage fees once you pass that first 6-month mark. Emily, I'll ask you this question. What is the best business bank account for FBA?
It depends where you're located. I'd say is the first thing. People have used Payoneer. Some people, like I actually switched to using just PayAbility, and I use their card, so it's a 0%. It's like no fees for me, and I can get my money, my cash right out every single day if I want to. So that's super helpful. Or you can just use like Bank of America, you know. So it's really up to you, your strategy, and your location. And I found for me personally, cash flow was a major issue up front for my product, which is why I switched to PayAbility. And there's other options like that. But depending where you are in the selling process too, that can be extremely helpful for inventory that needs to be repurchased or whatever. So
yeah. You know, want to hear something cool, Emily?
Yeah.
PayAbility was here at the office yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were here and we did an interview, and you guys will see it on YouTube soon. Guys, the way PayAbility works is you're pretty much setting up a bank account. They don't call themselves a bank, but they give you an account. And then instead of that money every 2 weeks going from Amazon to your bank account, PayAbility, based on what's in your account, you have to have at least 90 days. You have to have a certain minimum of like, I think it's $2,000 a month revenue on your bank account. It has to be healthy. They're paying from PayAbility is paying you every day from the last day's sales. And they're paying that into your PayAbility account. And then from there, you can download that into or transfer it to your own personal bank account, which is super, super helpful. So
yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
No, you.
I was just going to say, and if you transfer it to their card, so you're putting your business expenses on their card, it's not a credit card, it's just a PayAbility card linked to your account.
Like a debit.
The 2% fee is waived. So essentially you're getting to spend your cash with actually no fee for the transaction. So that's super helpful.
Super awesome. It's like a debit card, guys. It's not even a credit card. Yeah. Emilio says, Emilio, what's up? How do we register a brand on Amazon in 2019? Can you do a video on that? Because you have one, but many stuff has changed. So in our training, Amazon FBA Mastery, I have a full freaking video that explains this, but I can tell you quickly and easily, you need to have a trademark. In the old days, you didn't have to have a trademark. You had to have a website. And you needed, in many cases, to have applied for a trademark, or if you did, it increased your chances. Today, you have to have a trademark, has to be approved. That takes 8 to 12 months. So once you guys know what product category you want to sell in, move quickly on applying for the trademark, because it is a process. But don't let the brand registry be the end all. You can still make money before you're brand registered, but you still should be moving that direction no matter what. Excuse me. So you're going to get your brand trademarked. Once you have that number, it's registered, it's been approved, you're going to submit that through the brand registry application page. Amazon will then contact whatever contact info you have connected to your USPTO.gov trademark. That could be your lawyer, it could be you. Assuming it's your lawyer, they will send your lawyer a code. The lawyer will email you the code. You will drop that into the application, and within a few days, you're approved, and that's where you can apply for enhanced brand content and a bunch of other cool stuff. And Amazon's doing a ton, you guys, to enhance brands. People selling brands, they love that. That's what they're focused on. Thank you, Abrima. I appreciate it. I am feeling better. I'm still coughing a little bit. Sorry, you guys have to deal with that, I know, but it's getting better. Okay, next question. What are the pros and cons of selling on Amazon versus my own Shopify e-commerce store? I'm going to take this one, Emily, because I have tons of experience in this. Raphael, my first ever Shopify store was mountainvapes.com, later to become bestpricevapes.com. Back when I mentioned when I was calling hundreds of suppliers, what I did learn from it, even though it wasn't a great strategy, it was very slow, is that vapes and e-cigarettes was a growing trend. It was exploding back then. This is like 2013, 2014-ish, somewhere in that range, that area. So I decided to start my own e-commerce vape shop. And I did this with zero knowledge. The most I ever made on that was a little over $400 a month. And I'm talking about profit, not revenue. So it was never a huge money maker, but it was a great experience. It was long, it was slow. I got my phone, here's my phone, and I texted every single person on my phone this little pre-planned text. I would just change the name each time, telling them, announcing, hey, if you want some or you know of anyone some, we have amazing vapes and amazing e-cigarettes. We built it through Shopify and we hustled like crazy. I started this Pinterest page. I didn't know what I was doing. I had to update it every day. We started getting a little traction there. But again, our biggest month was a little over $400. It was hard. It took a long time. What I learned through that experience is I had to build brand trust, and I didn't know how to differentiate. So what I would do is I had great marketing language. I had great names for all the juices and everything. I would spend hours going through a thesaurus and looking at each and every name and thinking, okay, if this one tastes like watermelon, the vape juice, what are cool words for watermelon? Maybe it's ruby red watermelon. Maybe it's summer afternoon watermelon. I would try to draw pictures, and that part I was good at. What I wasn't good at is I didn't understand differentiation. I was selling the same stuff most everyone else was, but I didn't have that brand equity, that brand value, that brand connection yet. And my products weren't any different. I was just selling branded stuff. I was finding suppliers in China, some in the US. I was hustling, buying, reselling. Over time, I began to realize it takes a long time to rank in e-commerce. So the next time I built a brand, I did it in exactly the opposite. My wife started an Instagram store for fashion and clothing and accessories and health products and stuff like that. And then at the same time, we turned our arbitrage into private label. It just kind of organically became private label. We still do arbitrage, but a ton of that became private label. So as these both were growing, and she's really good at the social media connection stuff, and I'm really, really good at understanding Amazon and the private label, those both began to grow. Then that began to drive traffic to a website, again, Shopify, and that generates a massive amount of income. But it started with Amazon. Amazon I needed as a launch, something to launch to get it going. And then because I had that trust, it was easy to take those customers and make them my customers. And there's ways to do that. And now that created brand value. So I'm not saying you can't start with e-commerce. If I ever started that again, starting there instead of starting with Amazon for any of my brands, I think I could do a much better job. But I can tell you realistically, it's much harder. And most experts will tell you it'll take you a minimum of 6 months of constantly providing content for free before you should expect any sales. And then it's a slow thing from there. Again, I'm not saying you can't do it. You can. There's a bunch of other stuff I've done I could talk about. I could talk about the jewelry store we started and how we got a ton of Facebook likes on that and grew that and sold that. And there's different ways to do it. But the reason I talk about Amazon so much, you guys, is especially for those of you guys who are new to this or you're not making a lot of money yet, the fastest way I know to begin is on Amazon. You can use that capital to leverage other platforms so that you're not solely dependent on Amazon. Amazon is easy compared to e-commerce. And I think it was providential that I started in e-commerce because it made me really thankful when I started making serious money on Amazon and on eBay. In fact, a lot of those vapes I started selling on eBay until eBay started outlawing those vapes. Some of them I sold on Amazon by finding another listing and reselling it like arbitrage. And then I started drop shipping. And then I got in trouble for that. Like I can tell you guys lots and lots of horrible stories and awesome ones too. But just to give you perspective, man, start with Amazon is my recommendation. Then build it out from there to other e-commerce stores. Okay, let's go to the next. We're going to take a couple more questions and we're going to wrap it up. All right. Where do we need to pay tax if we sell on USA Amazon from Amazon India? So what I would do is I would, first of all, go into your settings, set up your taxes. Amazon will automatically collect those for you, which is awesome. And they will add the charge which your customer pays for. so that it's really easy to remit your tax payments based on the state. This actually should be something everyone you guys need to know. Amazon, sorry, take out Amazon. States in the US are becoming more and more strict about paying taxes. Now, if you're making, you know, 6, 7, 10,000 a month, probably not going to be an issue. But once you start doing 2, 3, 400,000 a month, you become a target. And that's where you need a lawyer. And that's where you have to start thinking about how to do things, making sure you're completely squeaky, clean, free. I don't know how to say it. Clean as a whistle, whatever. You just want to make sure you're doing things above board at 100%. So yeah, start there. If you're looking for a third-party service to help process and automate that for you, then I would recommend TaxJar. Great question, BJK. All right. Emily, if I differentiated my product well, how much more can I price my product than my competitors? And then Chan gives us example, 5, 10, 15% higher. What's too high? What are your thoughts on this, Emily?
That's going to be a test of the market for price sensitivity or value sensitivity, as you say, Seth. And I think that should be a slow and steady climb. And as soon as sales taper off or they change a little bit, you should go back down in the same kind of increments. However, the other thing that I would use as a screener is how obviously better is your product. When I see it, do I just get it right away that it's, you know, an enhanced coffee cup and it's got a silicone bottom and a silicone holder and all this stuff, where I need zero education on why it's better? If it's better and it's desirable, highly desirable, then yeah, maybe 20% higher, you know, and the sky is the limit. It's all about how valuable that differentiation is.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better. Exactly what Emily said. All right, we'll take just a couple more. Does changing prices slightly every day have an impact, good or bad, on the product visibility? Only, so here's 2 things. If you change it too drastically, you can lose your buy box, so be careful with that. If you're changing it just a little bit up each day, that is a very smart way to do it. And it's similar to what Emily said. See if your sales start to slow. Then you found the price cap in the mind of the customer, because the customer is king and queen in the situation. So if you go any higher, your sales might slow. So just do it by increments and test it. There's a price hack where you can slowly but surely drop your price, even below profitability, until you're selling like crazy, you're ranking better, and then you slowly bring it up again. And your competitors are going, how in the world are they doing this? And some of them give up. You're bluffing. Alan, can we source from the USA? Yes, you can. What's the minimum cash I need to start to see money in the time frame? I want to close with this question. Emily, I want to get your thoughts on it too. I think it's so good. Actually, Emily, why don't you take it first? What do you recommend? Minimum cash to invest to get going, to start seeing money in an approximate time frame?
I would say realistically, $3,000 is probably a very average kind of answer. Obviously, it depends on the price point of the product and how many your competitors are selling a day so that you don't run out of stock. So there's so many variables to answer that, but I would say 3,000 would be a really comfortable number. And profitability is really going to depend on the desirability and the competitors within your space. So if your product is highly desirable and obviously better, and just from that photo, I can see that it's going to solve my problems, you could be cash flow positive in a month, you know, a couple weeks even. Like you could do it that fast. If you are in a very competitive space and you're trying to rank and you've got to, you know, sell even at break even or below break even and you're running PPC, it could be 6 months, a year. It really depends on the space. So I would say don't count on being cash flow positive 6+ months. I think that's very reasonable. And it could be a year. I mean, for me, it was long because I was running PPC to rank and so on and so forth. So, yeah.
It's good. That's really, really good. Let me add one more thing to it, you guys. If you go to Amazon and you look at the BSR, that's the number that shows you their ranking. The lower the BSR, for example, 2,000 BSR is very good in most product categories. Let's say you're in kitchen, which has tons, clothing, which has even more. That's super good. That means they're making a ton every day. In many cases, thousands a day. Just think for a minute. These are people like me, like Emily, like you. Okay, I'm not superhuman. If you cut me, I bleed. I got bronchitis a couple weeks ago. I'm still recovering from that. Emily, I think she's somewhat superhuman, but for the most part, she's not. But seriously, like we are real people. We're vulnerable. We get tired. We get sick. We get discouraged. We have needs and desires. All this is part of being human. Let's just be real here for a minute, guys. When you see people crushing it on Amazon, don't get this idea in your mind that, oh, they're special. They got special training. Someone gave them tons of money. No, most of those people, and I could probably say 99.9%, are freaking just like you and me, starting somewhere, and that somewhere is with nothing, no experience. When I started Amazon, I hadn't sold on Amazon before. My first check was like around 15 bucks. I'm like, yes, I made $15. If I could do this once, I can do it a million times over. And we did. And Emily is on her way to doing that. So again, I want to tell you guys, do not get discouraged when you see people crushing it. We have so many students now who are making a ridiculous amount of money, like insane amount of money, because they're applying what they are learning and they're being consistent with it over a period of time. Some of them, this is not an exaggeration, God is my witness, some of them make millions a month. Think about that for a minute. Millions a month. When I started with them, they were making $0 a month. So it's not like there's some magical trick and you got to know the secrets. And it's not like that. It's about following the steps, working hard, being willing to get up because you get knocked down a lot of times, and just keep going. One of the people that I met with in eCom at eCom 2019, he's a multimillionaire now. Many of you guys saw him on video. He started just watching the training videos, and now today, and he's selling in the UK, you guys. Think about it. Way lower market than the US. So just give me a moment to speak truth to you guys. Do not believe the lie that you're too small or unexperienced or too ignorant to make it happen. You absolutely can make it happen. How do I know that? Because I made it happen, and I'm not special. I was broken. I was struggling in my marriage. I was in debt, and I decided I'm going to do something crazy and amazing, and I'm going to go believe I can do it, and I acted on that. And that's what you have to do. You have to act on it. So I just encourage you guys with that. And for those of you guys who are not just one-time members, I'm just going to be blunt. You need to join. If you're dead serious about building passive income, click the freaking link below and become a member of Just One Dime. There is, I don't want to get in trouble with my lawyer, but let me say this. There is no company I know of, like that qualification there. There's no company I know of in the world who is more committed to providing more in-depth, step-by-step training than Just One Dime. That's why we have an entire team here in these offices. That's why these whole offices exist, is to provide that for you so you can crush it, so you can make money, so you have margin to do the things you love with the people you love. And for those of you guys who are like, yeah, it's not for me, no problem. I'm glad you got a ton of free content today. I hope you feel blessed. Go out then and apply it. Act, you guys. But if you're waiting, if you're hesitating, if you're like, you're just delaying your success, guys. Go, act, and do it. Make it happen. Fire your boss. Emily, thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Have an awesome day, everybody.
Bye, guys.